Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 253 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about Blazers point guard Dame Lillard, because it was announced this week that the Portland Trailblazers will be shutting down star point guard Dame Lillard for the remainder of the season. The idea being the team is going nowhere with a 32-45 record, and they don't want him to play in meaningless basketball games. And I fully understand that mind thinking. Lillard is 32 years old, but what I don't know is what the team is going to do to make things better for him next season. What are you saving Lillard for? The Blazers, for the second year in a row, have missed the postseason. We are at a point where it is in the best interest of the team and Lillard that they split up, and I get it. It's hard for a team to part ways with an all-time great. Lillard is the franchise all-time leading scorer, but he's too exciting of a basketball player to be wasting his final years in the league on a middling team going nowhere fast. One of the biggest reasons Lillard is still on the Trailblazers is because it seems like he's still content to play for the franchise. On JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man in the Free, Lillard gave numerous reasons why he is against ring chasing in the NBA, and there are some valid reasons. He talks about Russell Westbrook playing for 5 different teams after leaving the OKC Thunder, and I agree with him. You don't want that to happen to you, but there have been examples where guys have been traded and won NBA championships. Kevin Garnett for years was super loyal to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then he finally gets traded and wins an NBA championship with the Celtics. Clyde Drexler, another Blazer great, got traded to the Houston Rockets and won a ring. It's not a bad thing to get traded in your career when you're playing for a bad team. You don't need to play your entire career with one NBA franchise. The best basketball player of all time, by most people's viewpoint, is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan played for the Wizards. Now, those were different circumstances, but he did not play his entire career with the Chicago Bulls, and it did not affect his legacy. Most of the players that did play their entire careers with one franchise ended up winning rings. Kobe Bryant was a numerous time NBA champion with the Lakers. Larry Bird won rings with the Celtics. That's why those players stayed with those teams, because they had already won the NBA championship. Damian Lillard has not won an NBA Finals, and the furthest he's gone in the postseason is the Western Conference Finals. He's done everything and anything to try to make Portland a winner. It's just not going to happen at this point. The team is going in the opposite direction. They are nowhere near being a top team in the Western Conference. Lillard is both the best player on the Trailblazers and one of the few only established veterans on the team. It's not a good combination to be. Lillard should be on a team full of NBA veterans who are trying to win a championship at this point in his career. He should not be a part of a rebuilding situation, and that's exactly what the Portland Trailblazers are. They are in rebuild mode. What I find interesting is that when people talk about this situation, they bring up what's best for Damian Lillard, ignoring that it's also in the best interest of the team, the Portland Trailblazers, to move on from the 7-time All-Star, who is making $44 million a year. Trade him now while he's still viewed as a difference maker in the league. The Blazers are not going to turn things around. It's no longer in the team's best interest to have Dame Lillard as their best player. I understand legacy. I understand wanting to have a star on your team. If the team loses Dame Lillard, they're going to lose part of the fan base. I never understood keeping Dame Lillard and moving on from CJ McCollum. I think that when they were done with McCollum, they should have also been done with Dame Lillard. The stage in Portland is just not bright enough for a star like Lillard. Like, he's still so good, but yet you forget about him because he's playing for an irrelevant franchise at this point. At one point, he made the team relevant, but now, again, they're going in the wrong direction. They're getting worse by the season. He's the lone superstar on the team. They have have some nice players, but they're not building towards anything that's promising and is going to compete for an NBA championship in the next few years. The way I feel about Dame Lillard is the exact same way I feel about Bradley Beal, is that these are the type of players you want to see play in the playoffs, and they are on teams that are just not good. They're not built around them. Bradley Beal should no longer be the best player on the Wizards, and Dame Lillard should no longer be the best player on the Trailblazers. They should be on teams that are competing for titles year in and year out, because these are difference makers. Bradley Beal, we've all imagined him on our teams. We've all imagined what he could do on a team that's trying to win, and I feel the exact same way about Dame Lillard. Put Dame Lillard on a team that's competing for a championship, I think he could be the difference maker for a team winning a championship. I'll admit, I would feel differently about the situation if the Trailblazers were consistently making the postseason, but they can't even do that. I don't care if Dame Lillard ever ends up with an NBA championship. I think he's a player I would want to see win one, but at the very least, he should be on a team that consistently makes the postseason. I mean, this team can't even make the play-in tournament. That's how bad they are, yet they have Dame Lillard, and because of that, you forget about him. He should be on a team that makes the postseason, and I would like to see him on a team that competes to win a championship, because he's that kind of caliber player. And look, there are plenty of great NBA stars who never won championships, but at least they've played in the finals. Charles Barkley lost to Michael Jordan. Patrick Ewing got to the NBA Finals against the Rockets. John Stockton and Karl Malone lost to the Bulls. They didn't end up winning rings, but they at least got a chance to go all the way to the finals, and that's what I want to see Lillard get, a chance to get to the NBA Finals, and he certainly doesn't have that in Portland right now. I mean, that would be the sad thing if Dame Lillard ends his career and never even makes an appearance to the NBA Finals. I get the whole he doesn't want to be traded just to win an NBA championship thing, but you can't tell me as a competitor he doesn't want to get to the dance. I mean, that's what everyone is striving for, and I'm sure there are some fans who look at this and go, I want to see Dame Lillard play in a bigger market like New York or LA, and I'm not even looking at it from that standpoint. I don't care that Dame Lillard plays for the Portland Trailblazers. They've been a team that's been consistent in the past. My problem is where the franchise is right now. This isn't the old-time NBA where Shaquille O'Neal needs to make the jump from Orlando to LA, even though Orlando is competing to win finals. I don't even care about that. The markets no longer matter. What matters is you're a star, and you're a star who's getting a chance to play in the playoffs. And Dame Lillard has just not gotten that chance recently. I would have been fine with Dame Lillard playing his entire career for the Portland Trailblazers if they could have gotten him to the postseason every year, but they seemingly cannot do that anymore. I know they have Chauncey Billups as their head coach. That clearly hasn't worked out. They're not making the postseason. He no longer has a clear number two. I know they have Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simmons, and that just isn't enough right now to compete in the Western Conference, where there are numerous teams with numerous star players. And Lillard is not without a lot of what-ifs in his career. Like, what if LaMarcus Aldridge had stayed with the Portland Trailblazers? Like, I do think that duo could have competed to try to win NBA Finals. Like, LaMarcus Aldridge was one of the best big men at the time, and he left the Trailblazers to join the San Antonio Spurs, and he never ended up winning anything. So I think those two stars could have used each other. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge just retired. He announced his retirement for the second time. He never made it to the NBA Finals. He probably could have gone there with Dame Lillard if he had just stayed with the Portland Trailblazers. I think there is a whole nother part of this Dame Lillard situation where one of the reasons he wants to remain in Portland is because he knows he can't win either way. If he joins a team and ends up winning a championship, commentators like Charles Barkley will say, well, you couldn't do it by yourself. You had to join a super team. So he knows even if he does win an NBA championship with a star-studded team, he's not going to get any of the credit, so he might as well just stay in Portland, put up his numbers, and have a nice career. And I understand that thinking because Barkley criticizes guys like Kevin Durant, even though they've won NBA championships with the Warriors and won finals MVPs, they still criticize Durant for leaving. This is what I would tell Dame Lillard. This is a completely different situation. Kevin Durant left an OKC Thunder team that had just gotten to within a game of making the NBA Finals. They had a 3-1 lead on the Golden State Warriors. This is like if Michael Jordan had left the Chicago Bulls and joined the Detroit Pistons back in the day. This is a completely different situation. The Portland Trailblazers are on the cusp of winning absolutely nothing. They can't even make it to the play-in tournament. Nobody is going to be upset if you want out of that franchise. This isn't Carmelo Anthony leaving the Denver Nuggets all because he wants to play in the bigger market that's New York. This is a situation that most people will be on your side about. The Portland Trailblazers are going nowhere fast. Everyone admires you as a player and would like to see you compete in the NBA playoffs. People only get upset when great players leave great teams. Like when Shaq left the Magic, that's a bit confusing because he already had Penny Hardaway. They had a lot going there. He left because of the bigger market. Carmelo left for a bigger market. This would be Dame Lillard leaving for a good reason, a chance to compete in the NBA postseason. Dame Lillard has done everything in the sport of basketball other than winning. He's put up the stats. He's been an all-star. He's been the best player on his team. The only thing left for him to do is to win. So if you're not doing that at this point in your career, what are you really after? I get the security of Portland. I get it. You probably love being a member of the Portland Trailblazers. I just want to see him in a situation where at the very least he can make it to the second round of the playoffs. I want to talk about some teams that could definitely use Dame Lillard and some teams that should go after him this offseason. I would put the Clippers at the top of the list. Put Dame Lillard along with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They would form an interesting trio. That's a team that's desperate for a starting point guard. I mean, right now they have Westbrook. That's not going to work out. Dame Lillard could be the difference maker. And another reason why that team should go after Dame Lillard is because Dame Lillard consistently plays basketball. So every time Kawhi Leonard and Paul George miss games, at least you're going to have Dame Lillard. And for that exact reason, I would put the other LA team as another team that could use Dame Lillard. Think of a team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dame Lillard. I think that would instantly make that team a title contending team. Now, I know the Lakers have made small moves to make them a better basketball team, but Dame Lillard would put them over the top and put them back in title contention mode. And one of the reasons I think both of those situations make sense is because those team stars have already done everything there is to do in the sport of basketball, and all they want to do at this point is win. Anthony Davis has won the finals. LeBron James has won the finals numerous times. They want to win. And then you have Kawhi Leonard, who's a finals MVP. He wants to get back there. Paul George has talked about how desperate he is to win the NBA finals. Like the Clippers and Lakers make a whole lot of sense to go after a guy like Dame Lillard because they are thinking about the now. They have veteran players who need to win championships now. Dame Lillard should not be joining these teams with young rosters. He doesn't have a very long window to win. He needs to win in the next 3 to 4 years. A team in the Eastern Conference that should make a run for Dame Lillard is the Miami Heat. They have a veteran roster that has already made it to the NBA Finals. Jimmy Butler and Dame Lillard make a lot of sense. Like, I don't want Dame Lillard to join just any old team. I want him to join a team that I believe has a chance at making the NBA Finals and winning the NBA Finals. At this point in his career, Dame Lillard should make an honest attempt at winning an NBA championship because I think it would do a lot for his overall legacy. He's already a Hall of Famer. He doesn't need to win the ring, but I would like him to win the ring at this point. I think it would put him on the higher list of point guards if he had an NBA championship. I think it would put him ahead of guys like John Stockton, who doesn't have a ring. Chris Paul doesn't have a ring. Dame Lillard should be on the hunt for a ring. It's not a bad thing to want to win. I get his criticism that ring chasing is a bad thing and you should think about more things than just that, and how the media talks about these things is stupid. But at the end of the day, it's not just the media that remembers winners. It's the fans too. It helps your overall legacy, and it's what the sport of basketball is about, is making an attempt to win the NBA Finals. And right now, you're not doing that as a member of the Portland Trailblazers. You're at the point in your career where they are shutting you down at the end of the season. That's the point in the season that's supposed to be the most important point of the season at this point in your career, not the point where they shut you down. I mean, it's just a sad thing when I heard the news that one of the most exciting players in the sport of basketball is being shut down when every other NBA great playing in the league right now is making a run at winning the NBA championship. I mean, that must affect him. He must not be happy in this current situation. I just don't understand why he would want to end his career a member of the Trailblazers at this point. I understand that Lillard has a legacy in Portland that he should be proud of. He's a Hall of Fame basketball player, but I just want to see him make the NBA Finals because this is a guy who plays his best when the lights are their brightest, and right now that's not in Portland, and that's not a bad thing. I also don't agree with this idea that he seems to have that making the jump to another team is a mistake. Yes, Russell Westbrook has been traded to 5 different teams. Russell Westbrook is a competitor who is trying to win basketball games. This is why he left OKC for Houston. He wanted to join up with James Harden in an attempt to win. Chasing after winning is not a bad thing. It's a good thing in most cases. Dame Lillard is currently 32 years old. He still has some good basketball left. He is still thought of as a difference maker. There are even more teams than what I even mentioned could use Dame Lillard and make a run in making the NBA Finals. I just think he's wasting the end of his basketball career as a member of the Portland Trailblazers. And I'm just curious to know that if he wants to end his career with the Blazers, how he thinks it's going to end up. Like, the team is not going to go out and make some big signing. Nobody wants to join Portland at this point. They're not going to get another superstar to join up with him. His best attempt is the team drafting another star player, and then they're not going to have that championship window because Dame Lillard's career will be over by the time that player they draft is a superstar in the league. Like, he's just not in a good situation. I don't think Chauncey Billups is a very good head coach at this point. He's done nothing in the league. The Trailblazers are going in the wrong direction. Dame Lillard has 3 to 4 more years of being one of the better point guards in the league. I can't be the only person who's upset by seeing Dame Lillard waste the end of his career playing meaningless basketball. He's the type of player you want to see play in Game 7 of a postseason round because you know he's going to do his best to put up numbers and get his team in a winning situation, and you can't do that on the Portland Trailblazers. And honestly, I do believe he should take control of the situation while he can because he's the one who can leverage a trade. He should leave the Trailblazers when other teams would still want him, and they definitely would still want him at this point in his career. I mean, again, how sad is it that we're going into the NBA playoffs and Dame Lillard, one of the NBA's brightest stars, is being shut down? It's not good for the league when one of your best players is not playing in the most meaningful games. Yes, there are other stars, there are other teams. I personally want to see Dame Lillard play in the brightest stage, and I, of course, believe that is in the postseason, and he's not even going to make the play-in. The last 2 years, the Trailblazers have not even made the play-in tournament. That's about as sad can get. Every team in the NBA that's worth anything should make the play-in tournament, and the Trailblazers can't even do that. Of course, that's a situation that Dame Lillard should want out of. Dame Lillard has done everything and anything to make the Portland Trailblazers a relevant franchise. He stayed when many other stars in the league would have made that jump to a bigger market. He did everything. He got the team to the Western Conference Finals. He formed a really solid duo with CJ McCollum, even though we probably all knew that duo could never really compete with the other star duos in the league. Like, nobody ever really thought of the Trailblazers as a viable team to make the NBA Finals or even win the NBA Finals. Like, we never saw that happening. But the team was always overachieving. They made the postseason each year. They had a very good coach in Terry Stotts. They made runs. They were a really consistent franchise. Now they're no longer that. They're a team missing the postseason 2 years in a row with an aging Dame Lillard who still has some solid years of basketball left, and they're shutting him down. And my question is, why are you shutting him down? What are you shutting him down for? Are the Trailblazers going to be any better next season? I doubt it. If you're ever going to trade Dame Lillard, now has to be the time. It's an in the best interest of the player, and it's also in the best interest of the team. And it would be more than just chasing a ring. It would mean putting Dame Lillard back in meaningful basketball games, because that's something we all watched. I mean, I grew up with this guy playing in big basketball games and putting up exciting numbers and being one of the best point guards in the league. Now he's being shut down at the end of the regular season. That's not okay. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.